I have to turn this thing on? I don't know where to turn it on. Oh, very good. Good morning. Yeah? Is that working? It is. Good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to see all your smiling faces, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on a Monday morning. Welcome. My name's Katrina Laporte. I'm an instructional assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology, and for my sins, I'm also co-chair of the LMS Selection Committee. This is the kickoff event for a university-wide governance LMS or Learning Management Selection Committee. This is the first of 36 events, I think, we have planned on campus in order to help us, as part of our shared governance exercise, select a new LMS for Texas A&M. So I want to welcome the guys from Canvas this morning who are going to start off that series of presentations. I just wanted to remind you, because you're here, you probably already are well familiar with the flow of the project. But if you have questions throughout this seminar, because we do have some people coming in on TTVN, if you have questions, you can always email lms-review@tamu.edu, and Sharon Menker of the IT Governance Program will be monitoring that mailbox. So we'll be able to feed any remote questions that we have coming in. This is also the mailbox that you can use throughout the whole review process. So if you have questions, comments, concerns throughout the entire process, feel free to email this email address, and we're using this to update our FAQ on our webpage and also provide answers in a timely fashion to concerns. The Canvas team are on site here for the next few days. Today we'll be having vendor demonstrations this morning, and then one this afternoon, correct? And then on tomorrow there will be open time in the labs in Heldenfelds down at 004 in Heldenfelds. There's a series of labs you can go to the LMS website to see when those training opportunities are. And then throughout this, from 30th of January to 8th of February, there'll be webinars going on, FAQ sessions, demos. And I suppose the most important thing is that we have created a demonstration sandbox for everybody to log into. These are the demos, and these are all on our website as well, that you can attend introduction workshops and open labs. But the most important thing is we have created this sandbox that you can play in. It's like a demonstration Canvas website that you can go to, log in using your UIN, so plug in your digits, and then type in the password, which is probably as unprofessional, and the security people are probably cringing when they see that. So type in password to get into your sandbox. You can immediately change your password, and from there you can actually see really amazing demonstration sites that are up there using this technology, as well as have your own course to play in and recreate your modules or whatever you want to do in. It's very, very cool. I've been logging in for the last couple of weeks. Finally, when we've evaluated all 3 sessions, we'll be meeting again in this room or in Rudder Tower, and we'll be having a full-blown university community feedback forum on how you like the products, what were the pros, what were the cons, and voting on which product we like the best. I want to remind you that the LMS Selection Committee has created an evaluation rubric, or we don't call it a rubric, an evaluation tool that will give you some prompts that you can think about as you're evaluating each of these, and that's also available from the LMS website. So the website I've been talking about is the short URL is u.tamu.edu/LMS review, and all the information on all the workshops and the schedule of events is available there, as well as the FAQs, login information for the sandbox, and the timeline for this process. You can register for the presentations and webinars there. You can also, if you're not feeling comfortable emailing lmsreview@tamu.edu, you can also email ITS help to request access to the evaluation sites. But I think, Kathy, how many of them did you set up? How many thousands did you set up? 8,000 accounts have been set up for each of the evaluation websites. If you're an instructor of record last semester, you have an account already set up in this system. Email questions to LMS review. So I think this is that catchphrase, get involved, stay informed, and be heard. And with that being said, let's move on to the Canvas guys. We have Peter and Jace here to help us today, and they'll be talking for the next 75 minutes or so.
Thank you, Katrina. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up today. I'm Peter Campbell, and I'm the Enterprise Sales Director for the great state of Texas. I've been with Canvas, Instructure, the parent company, for a little over 2 months now, so I'm still new. But I've been in the ed tech space for over 24 years. I was the Director of Academic Technology at Montclair State University for a number of years, and then actually worked at Blackboard as well as Pearson, and then joined Instructure a couple months ago, as I said. So I want to just follow up on what Katrina was saying, and really encourage all of you today to take advantage of the workshops and hands-on activities that are going to be held tomorrow. Today is really just meant to give you a high-level overview of the sorts of things that make Canvas really special. And having been in this space for quite some time, and having worked for Blackboard, I have a pretty particular biased perspective, so if you all want to talk to me later, I'd be happy to share some of those perspectives with you. But today is really just meant to give you that high-level overview. But really want to encourage folks to ask questions today. Jace Gilbert, my colleague, who's going to lead the demo in just a moment, he's a product expert as well. He'll be able to answer your questions. And we really hope this kickoff session today is really valuable, but please, as Katrina was encouraging you, please get involved, ask those questions, get into the sandbox environment, and let us know how we can help you with this evaluation process. And with that said, I'll turn things over to Jace.
Thank you. Katrina, I don't know who you think's going to be talking for 75 minutes. This morning, I'm doing Canvas Presentation, the musical. So this whole thing will be in song. So thank you so much. First of all, Katrina and Sharon, thank you so much for inviting us to come and share Canvas with you. My entire career has been academic technology in Texas. I live in Houston. And whenever Peter called me and said, hey, listen, A&M would like for us to come and share Canvas with them, I almost burst into tears because we have so much history at this institution. And I was walking around the building earlier, and I saw these beautiful pictures of the bushes, and it just brought back so many memories. And I'm just so happy that we get to come and to share Canvas with you, and we feel so fortunate to get to be here and do that. And you are in such good company with people who are using Canvas and who know of Canvas, because I've been in this industry here in our state for so long. I will probably say names that you know, and really because of the way that we work together, I invite you to ask questions as we're going through this time together. So I'm going to share things with you from my institution, experience that I've had with institutions all around the country. I've worked with over 1,000 colleges and universities all over the world in the last 10 years to help them evaluate Canvas and evaluate other academic technology and make a move from Blackboard to Canvas. And so there's so many wonderful peers that we have who have been through this process before, and I'm going to share some of their story with you. I actually joined the Canvas team from a college here in Texas. I'm Canvas's third customer, first customer ever in Texas. Okay, and what happened, the reason that we even just started looking for another LMS, my college, we were a Blackboard school. The reason we started looking for another LMS, it actually had nothing to do with the LMS. It had to do with the Texas legislature. Do y'all remember years and years ago when they changed the funding model for public schools from enrollment-based funding to retention-based funding, right? The first year that law went into effect, we lost over $4 million in state funding. And so Greg Powell, who's the president of our college, he came to Ann Morris and I, and he said, we have got to turn this ship around. We've got to find out what's going on with our retention rates and with our graduation rates, and we have to improve the quality of our online education. So Ann and I set off on this huge project to practically relaunch online learning at our college. And as a part of that, we started getting feedback from our faculty and our students. And guess what they were saying? They were saying the technology is getting in our way. Do you know how that made me feel? It was my technology, right? And so we got in touch with other academic technology coordinators and administrators around the state, and we said, what are you using? What are you doing? And does anybody know the name Mickey Slimp? Does that name mean anything to anybody in the room? No. So Mickey Slimp is he's the director of a wonderful little consortium in East Texas. It's called NetNet. And Mickey Slimp introduced Ann Morris and I to Canvas. Just come out. Nobody was using Canvas, but somehow Mickey knew about it. And we arranged a presentation, it was a WebEx. The founder of the company he was the only employee, basically. So he got on there and he did the presentation. Ann Morris and I sat there speechless. We could not believe what we were seeing. And to make a long story short, we ended up making that move from Blackboard to Canvas. Before you know it, we were the fastest growing college in the state of Texas, and we were one of the top 5 online colleges in the country, right? And I can't give Canvas all the credit for that, but I feel like it was the right tool for the job. And so today I'm going to share with you some of the things that we learned along the way. One of the first things being that Canvas is different, and I'm going to make this really large, so hopefully we can all see that, and we can adjust that as we need to. But the first thing I want you to know about Canvas, one of the first things that we learned about Canvas, that's kind of cut off on the screen there, isn't it? Let me just do like this. Is that okay for you? Can y'all see that okay? All right, perfect. Okay, so one of the first things that we learned about Canvas that made it different for us is that our version of Blackboard, do y'all remember when Blackboard used to be hosted on premises? So was ours. And we had this big server room with all the air conditioners and all of that kind of stuff. And guess what? It went down at least once a week, right? And even though I'm not the IT director, guess who got the phone calls, right? So one of the first things that we learned about Canvas is that Canvas is native to the cloud, right? It's just like all of the Google apps that we're using, the Office 365 apps that we're using. Does anybody in here use, what is that, FriendFace? What is that thing called? Facebook. Does anybody use that? Has anybody heard of that? Is it, no? Okay. So I got an email the other day that says you have a birthday party invitation on Facebook, and I didn't know what to do because I don't even know how to log into Facebook. So anyway, so the thing about Canvas is that it's native to the cloud, which gives us incredible reliability. Guess how much interruption Canvas users experience in a year? Less than 8 minutes. Okay, so and compared to where we've been, this is incredible. So with Canvas being native to the cloud, it's able to provide us with incredible reliability. It's always available so that whenever we have those labs full of students taking their exams, the system isn't going to slow down. We used to get that all the time during midterms and finals and the beginning of the semester. So Canvas does all of that for us. The other thing that I love about Canvas is that it is completely mobile. So it has native mobile apps for students. My favorite is it has native mobile app for teachers, right? So the story of my world is that it's Saturday and I'm at Target trying to run errands, and I get an email from somebody saying, hey, your assignment hasn't been released yet. I would have, hey, let me extend the due date because now what I do is I just pull and I swipe to unlock the assignment, right? So I love the fact that Canvas has native apps for students and teachers, and we can complete our entire courses using those mobile apps. So whenever you go into Canvas, you sign in, and this is what you see. I hope you'll all come to the workshops we're doing tomorrow so you can see this yourselves. Whenever you sign into Canvas, you have a to-do list that's right here on the side that surfaces actionable items. The reason we did this is because we have over 30 million people using Canvas, and the data was showing us that when people sign into Canvas, they're actually looking for the tasks that they need to do. So if I'm a professor, I sign in and I want to see submissions to grade. How many of you collect your submissions online? You get students to submit to Blackboard? Yes. So what Canvas is doing here is it's just bringing to the surface those actionable items, and we can just click to go in and grade them. This is great for students too, because students will see their to-do list of discussions to participate in, assignments to submit, and they can click and do that as well. You'll notice as we kind of move over to this main content area, I have these tiles for the different courses that I'm teaching or that I'm taking. Aren't my tiles beautiful? I love to add in the images for my tiles. Whenever I am invited to do presentations and keynotes and things, I always love to show my dashboard in Canvas. Guess what the #1 question I get? This actually just happened. We had a wonderful CanvasCon event in Austin not too long ago. I did a presentation. The #1 question that I got asked after that presentation, hey, how do I put those images behind my tiles? How do I make my tiles have those images? So this is so much fun. But here's the other thing that I really love about these dashboard, is that I can come in and I can tap to color code my tiles. So do any of you like to organize things, or any of you like color code people? Is this, yes, my people, I love it. Okay, so notice that I can color code my tiles, but do you see here how I can also give my tiles a nickname? Why does this matter to me? Because when my student information system, have y'all ever heard of Banner? It's okay. So that was my student. Whenever course shells would be created in my system from Banner, instead of saying U.S. history, guess what it would say? HIST 1301-B-401, right? That didn't mean anything to me. So I love that I can go in and make this tile say U.S. history Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So I can customize that. And what's so nice is that that customization carries across all of my platforms. So if I'm using Canvas in the web, if I'm using Canvas on my mobile device, I'm going to get that customized dashboard. My Canvas. Every Canvas user gets a profile, and within the profile, notice that you can do very simple but effective things like adding a profile image. How many of you teach fully online? Several of you do. Do you encourage your students to add profile images? Yes, right? So you can add a profile image here. I love that I can change the language of Canvas. I live in Houston. We're one of the most diverse cities in the world. I love that my non-native English speakers can put Canvas into their native language. Also, for my distance learners who aren't in the central time zone, they can put Canvas into their time zone. So that way they're showing up for web conferences on time. They're getting their assignments submitted on time. So I can do all of this very, very easily. But here's one of my favorite things. In Canvas, whenever students are added, their EDU email address is automatically added to Canvas. What does that mean? That means whenever you post an announcement, or you post a grade, or you change a due date, the notification about that is going to go to their campus email, right? Now, I know this never happens at A&M, but at my college, it was so hard to get students to check that campus email. Our registrar, he would pound the desk. He'd say, this is our system of record for communication. Everything needs to go to that campus email. But then our provost, Lillian Cook, she gets up in front of the faculty senate and she says, listen to me. She goes, I want you to pretend like Canvas is the system of record for our communications. Let me tell you why. It's because Dr. Cook knew that Canvas would automatically send notifications out to all of those students on their campus email anyway, but Dr. Cook, she understood that students don't always check that email address as much as we hope they would, so they can opt in to receive those notifications on an email address where they do, so they get a carbon copy. Does that make sense? So they're getting a carbon copy on an email address that they may check more often. Maybe it's the one that's on their phone. Or they opt in to receive text message notifications, right? How many millions of students do we have in Canvas right now who have opted in for this, and every time a grade posts, they instantly get that notification? It happens all the time. But here's my favorite thing. When my students send me a private notification, guess where that message goes? To my Outlook inbox. Do y'all use Outlook or Gmail? Gmail. So, okay, so we got a little bit of both, right? Okay, so think about this. Whenever your student sends you a message in Canvas, you don't have to go to Canvas to reply. You reply from your Gmail or your Outlook inbox. That goes back into Canvas, updates the communication stream there, and forwards your reply on to them as a text message, right? So it's brokering all of that conversation for you. This is an awesome, awesome, awesome thing. And so you can go in, customize all of your notification preferences and settings here, and let Canvas do all of the work. Now, a little bit later on, I'm going to tell you another reason why Dr. Cook asked us to pretend like this is the system of record, and it all has to do with grade disputes. I don't know if that's happened to you yet, but we'll get there. Now, the other thing that's really nice about Canvas is that it comes with an ePortfolio tool. So if you're using ePortfolios for any of your assignments or with any of your courses, let me kind of fix this text here. Oops. There we go. Any user, a teacher or a student, can create as many ePortfolios as they want. What I love about this is that my ePortfolio is private to me, but then as a professor, I can request that as an assignment submission. Students submit that to me, and I can use a rubric for the assessment. The other thing that's nice is that students can use images, they can use videos, they can use all of these artifacts of their learning. They can create that showcase of their work. They can share that with their peers. They can share that with a recruiter. They can share that with the grad school, whatever they need to do. They can use that. And what's cool is that students can actually download this and take it with them when they graduate, or you can continue to host it for them and they'll always have access to it. So the ePortfolio tool, it's awesome, and it comes with Canvas, and it has commenting functionality. So if you wanted to use, what I really like about this is that our ePortfolio tool is not at the course level, which I've seen that forever. The ePortfolio tool in Canvas is with the user, because I want my students to use their ePortfolio across the program. Does that make sense? So now in Canvas, we can just use this ePortfolio for the whole program, and once the course shell closes, my students don't lose their portfolio. Okay, so let's talk about some of the favorite features of professors who are using Canvas. I have to start with Commons. This is the wonderful learning object repository that you get with Canvas, and I want to make this so that you can see all of these incredible tiles on here. So the first thing that I love about this is that whenever I create content, I'm able to curate my content into my own private learning object repository. Right? So if I have those quizzes or those discussions or those modules that I like to use over and over again, I can place those here in Commons, and I can use that. But here's where it gets really nice. If Levon and I are working together as a team, we can collaborate in Commons, right? So now we can share these learning objects, right? And so she can go in and create those incredible course content and those incredible learning objects and share those here. And now all of our department, all of our program can have access to them. Or maybe there's a code of conduct document that the provost says has to be in every single course. And so what we'll do now is we'll place that in Commons, and then we'll turn around and place that into every single course. And guess what? If that document is ever updated, all of those changes automatically propagate out to all of the courses that are using that document. Isn't that awesome? So you can do that just by using Commons. The other thing that is so cool about Commons is that if your administrator gives you access to it, you have access to over 58, almost 59,000 publicly shared learning objects. Right? Let me give you an example. These are all learning objects where the usage rights have been established by the creator of the is anybody familiar with OER? And y'all remember back in the day when, okay. It's along those lines, right? Where we have people creating the content, they're sharing it with us, they're telling us what the usage rights are, and you can go in there and you can use that. I was actually looking to see if there were any courses in here that used OpenStax, because I'm using an OpenStax history text, and I just went in one day, and because I just wanted to kind of see if there was anything in here, and let me show you what happened. All of a sudden, I start seeing all of these incredible courses that were designed by California OEI in collaboration with OpenStax. They've built all of these courses that go with the text, and they're free for me to use. So I just went in here and I found a course, and I've just been exploring that to get ideas of how in my course. So you can do that as well. Isn't that awesome? Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So here, let me show you. Let me show you. I get so excited about what all you can do with it, I forget to share. Look at this. Courses, modules, assignments, quizzes. Do you see? All of those different things, images, videos, all of that you can put in here. And so you can do an entire course, or you can do just a small component of a course, right? So yeah, awesome stuff. All right. So the next thing that I want to share with you is probably one of the favorite tools of faculty who are using Canvas. I have a really good friend. Her name is Teresa Brooks. She's the dean of our School of Education. And Teresa's office, so my office is in a technology building. I'm on the first floor. And this is a technology building built back in the 40s, okay? And sound travels in this building, all right? So I'm on the first floor. Teresa's on the second floor. Her office is right above mine. And Teresa always wears these big, chunky, heavy heels. And I can hear her doing that all day long, okay? Well, one day I hear flying down the stairs. I am bracing because I know she's about to come into my office and give me a big head of steam over how much she hates Canvas because we had just adopted Canvas. And Teresa's one of those professors that is not afraid to tell you what she thinks. Let me start by saying that. So I just knew that she was about to let me have it. She comes bursting into my office and she says, "I love the Canvas calendar." And I was speechless. I didn't know what to say because I thought she was about to tell me that she hated Canvas. She says, pull it up, I want to show you. So first of all, she says, look at this. She goes, when my students pull up their calendar in Canvas, all of their assignments and events for all of their courses appear in one place. She goes, do you know how important that is for students pacing and setting priority? She goes, the colors, they match up with the legend, and you can actually tap on the legend and you can turn the visibility on or off. So if you need to kind of clear things up a little bit, you can do that. You can do all of that here with this calendar. She says, but the other thing that's so awesome is that for my students who like to use their mobile devices, look at this. They can actually take their calendar and put it onto their Outlook calendar or their Google Calendar. So their Canvas calendar provides you with an iCal feed so that you can do that. But then, oh my gosh, she says, if I want to create an assignment, she goes, think about how we used to do that in Blackboard. I said, oh my gosh, yes, Teresa, you have to click here, click there, click. She goes, look, she goes, if I want to create an assignment in Canvas, all I do is tap on the day, and look what it does. It lets me create an event, create an assignment. I can even create an appointment group. How many of you have office hours that students come to? Almost everybody, right? So when we used to do the virtual office hours, so for those of us teaching fully online, we had to do virtual office hours. And basically what that means is that I would sign into the web conferencing tool and I would just sit there for 2 hours and wait for a student to turn up, okay? Not a great use of my time, okay? So what do we do now? We actually program in a sign-up sheet, basically, for students to sign up and commit to coming to virtual office hours or to the learning center or the tutoring center or whatever it may be. And so I can create those spots and students can sign up to do that. My good friend Brian, he actually uses this for his verbal finals. So he teaches government. They'll do we don't call them field trips anymore. We call them some learning experience. I don't remember what. We don't call them field trips though. What is it? High impact learning experience. There you go. So he'll load up a bus full of students and he'll take them down to Austin and they'll walk around the Capitol and they'll go into the different rooms there. And their final is a verbal final. And what he'll do is he'll get them to sign up so that way they come to his office to do the verbal final. So you're going to be able to do this. And because web conferencing is included in every single course and every single group, you can actually just do your web conference right inside of Canvas. Now here's the other thing that Teresa got so excited about. Do y'all think about right now, if you have a lecture that goes long, or if you have inclement weather, or if you have some kind of a special event or something that's happening, and you need to reschedule an exam or something like that, think about how you currently do that. In Canvas, this is what Teresa got so excited about. You see this right here? I have this midterm exam that is supposed to happen on the 30th I'm going to move that to the 31st. Are you ready? All you do in Canvas is drag and drop. And guess what this does? It updates my assignments page, my modules page, even my syllabus page, right? And it sends a text message out to my students to let them know that the due date has changed. That is so awesome. Just by dragging and dropping like that. This is why the calendar is one of Teresa's absolute favorite features. And it's why professors love it, because it saves them a lot of time. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. Uh-huh. That's perfect. That's exactly what I do. I use Google Calendar for everything. I see Sean's calendar, I see Peter's calendar, I see my Canvas calendar. Google Calendar. So you know how Google Calendar you can paste in the, that's all you do. Yes, yes. In Outlook you click to add a new calendar. It's a few more steps in Outlook than it is in Google, but it's the same concept. Yes, yes. Now, one thing I'll note, if we try this in the workshop tomorrow, keep in mind that Outlook and Google Calendar, they're not constantly polling. So some of them have a delay there, but that's not on the Canvas side. That's just on whatever your calendar app is. How often does it refresh? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes. So I take a hybrid approach. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Oh. Absolutely, yes. So the question is essentially, how am I using my syllabus in Canvas to get the benefit of the calendar adjustments, right? So I take a hybrid approach. Canvas has a syllabus tool, and the syllabus tool has two different sections. The first section is a content area, and I could type my syllabus into that, but I just do a Word document. Right? Do you do a Word document with yours as well? Okay. So what I'll do is I put the Word document into that area, and Canvas will in the browser without my students having to download them, so I don't have to convert to a PDF or anything like that. So that's what I do. So that's the top. But what I've stopped doing is putting the dates of the assignments on the syllabus document. That's what I have stopped doing, because Canvas will automatically populate that itinerary for me below that content area. Does that make sense? So that's why I say I'm taking a hybrid approach, where I have, you know, all of the grading policy and all that kind of stuff, and then the assignments. I let Canvas populate that part. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
If you want to make a change, say what you just did with the drag and drop.
Yes.
Capability, does that have to be done when you're actually in the Canvas calendar, or does the drag and drop affordance also work from Google Calendar or Outlook?
It has to be done in Canvas. Yes, yes, because one of the things that for those of us who have used this before, if you've brought in a calendar feed like a birthdays or a holidays feed or something like this, it's very similar. Where we can't change it in Outlook, it has to be changed back at the source calendar, right? So whenever you go into Calendar to update that, it will update on the Google side though. It just takes it. You can't do it on the Google side. Yeah, that's right. And there was another question over on this side. Yes, sir. No, same answer, right? Yeah. So basically, consider your Canvas calendar as the. Oh, I'm so sorry, Sharon. I'm so sorry. Here, why don't you come sit here and just stomp your foot every time I forget to do it? So just like the other, where Canvas, the question is, can you make changes from your Google or Outlook calendar to affect your Canvas calendar? The answer is no, because those external calendars are using Canvas as a feed. They're consuming a calendar feed. Very similar. It's the exact same thing that you would do if you have a holidays calendar or any other special calendar that you've added to your Outlook or your Google. So that way, basically what that means is it has to be updated at the source, and then those changes will propagate eventually out to that one. Yes, sir. Yes.
over to the next semester and changing the calendar Tuesday, calendar will be okay.
I am so happy you asked this. I am so happy you asked me this. So the first thing is that, oh yeah, so yeah, everybody online is like, what was that? Yeah, thank you, Sean. Would you just do that? So okay, so the question is, whenever you are putting your information in, can you roll your content over from one course, from one shell to the next, from one term to the next? The other question is, how can you consolidate your courses so that you don't have to make so many changes, right? Right, without having to make all those changes for every single one. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So the answer to your first question, which I'm so happy that you asked that, is that I can have one course shell with all of my sessions in one course shell. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. I do it all the time. The second is that I'm going to show you here in just a second how I get ready to teach the new semester. Okay, so just as soon as we go into my course, that's actually the first thing I'm going to show you. Okay, now was there, I thought I saw one. Oh, you bet. Yeah. Okay. The question was, are you going to show us the syllabus with the schedule? And yes, I will. Okay, yes, sir. Sure. You bet. So the question is, can the calendar have a perspective so that we're seeing things by weeks? So week 1, week 2, week 3. So let me show you the different views of the calendar. And then the other part of your question, it really kind of goes into how can I manage those dates from term to term so everything sort of falls in line. So we'll get to that here in just a second. So what I want to show you right now, though, is that you can put your calendar, do you see it already? Week view. You see it at the top? So you can put your calendar into week view, so that way I can see what's coming on week 1, week 2, week 3. I can also do agenda view. Agenda view is very popular with our medical schools, because so what students will do is they'll have week 1, week 2, week 3. Students will go in and print this. They'll save it as a PDF or something, and they'll print it, and they keep that with them so that they'll know. It's kind of basically just an itinerary of everything that they have to do. So from a calendar perspective, it's very easy to accommodate that and be able to see that within the calendar, right? And I'm going to show you right now how you actually set that up in your course. Okay. All right. You guys ready to go and look at a course? Guys go? Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's hop down and look at my history course today. Now, the first thing I want to share with you in this course is how do I set my course up. I have been using Canvas for over 10 years, and I can tell you that I have never set up a course from scratch, because I always have content from somewhere. Either I have content that I'm migrating from Blackboard, or I have content that I've created outside of Canvas and I want to upload the files, or just all of the different things. So one of the wonderful things about Canvas is that you don't have to go in and recreate your course from scratch unless you just absolutely want to. But if you already have question banks that you've created in Blackboard, how many of you already have question banks in Blackboard? Yes, everybody in the room, right? Just import those. Let me show you right now exactly how I do that. So I go to course settings and I just click to import content into the course. And you'll notice here I have a drop-down menu at the very top, and from that drop-down menu I pick from all of these different choices. So maybe for you, the first time you use Canvas, maybe you're going to want to bring in your Blackboard course, so you'll just go in and you'll click and you'll find your Blackboard export, and you'll click to import that, and that's going to bring all of that content in from Blackboard. So all of my question banks, all of my discussion topics, all of my content, all of my images, everything like that. That's all going to come in. And then, of course, once that content's here, you'll spend some time kind of moving things around so that they fit the Canvas design paradigm. But then you teach that course for a semester, and now the next semester comes along and you want to teach that same course again. So going back to your question. So how do you get your course set up for the new semester? Well, listen, this is me on a Sunday night watching Dancing with the Stars, right? And something happens and it reminds me, oh my gosh, I have a course that starts in the morning and my course shell is empty. What am I going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there on my couch with my laptop and I'm going to go into and I'm going to go to this course import page and watch what I do. All I do is click to copy a Canvas course. I find my course from last semester and I can decide if I want to copy in all of the content or just specific content. But here's the best part. Do you know how many hours of my life I have spent adjusting due dates after rolling my course from last semester? Backspace, backspace, backspace. My good friend Larry Allen, he is an accounting teacher. He just retired. And he said the best thing that you ever did for us was to introduce us to this date adjustment tool. He would sit there, he would come into my office, which was a little lab, and he would sit there with his State Farm calendar and a pencil to get his due dates. In Canvas, all he would do is beginning and ending date of when this course was taught, beginning and ending date of the new semester, and then click, and Canvas will change all of those dates for me, right? And then here's what I really, really like. I can actually do day substitution. So if I'm teaching a hybrid course, and actually before I say this, I want to show you what just popped up, Sunday to Sunday. This is going to be for all of those of you who say, my assignments are always due on Friday, period. They're always due on Friday. So what you'll do is just say move from Friday to Friday, so that way whenever Canvas does the date adjustment, it makes sure that they're all still due on Friday, right? Or if you're like me teaching hybrid, maybe you want it to move from Monday to Tuesday because your face-to-face component is moving days, right? So you can do that. Did you have a question, Jim?
Yeah, I did, you sort of answered it. What about a course migration across semesters where, let's say, I taught English 210 in fall, and it was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday course. Now I'm taking a course in the spring, but it's a
Tuesday, Thursday. Perfect. Okay, so you already are tracking with where we're going, right? So what we'll do is I will take my, let's just use Monday as the example, and I'm going to move that to Tuesday. Let's take Wednesday, and I may move that to Thursday, right? Now, because you're going from a 3-day lecture to 2-day lecture, you're going to have to accommodate that last day of lecture, but you get where we're going with this, right? So Canvas will make those adjustments for you, right? And if there's something that Canvas doesn't know about, like a football game or something like that, you can just go to your calendar and drag and drop to accommodate that. Okay. So were there any questions about that awesome course import tool? I use it to get my content in from Blackboard. I use it to get my content in from my zip files. I use it to get my content in from one semester to the next. This is one of my best friends in Canvas. Yes, sir.
There are several other calendars that we use, the university calendar,
Mm-hmm.
the quality calendar, department calendar.
Sure.
All of them have dates that may or may not that need to be made available.
Yeah. Yeah, so this automatic date adjustment tool is really cool, but we have 3 different calendars that could affect our due dates, right? So there could be spring break, and we don't want to have an assignment fall on spring break. So Canvas doesn't have a facility to consume all of your and all of your event calendars and things like that, and then make adjustments based on that stuff. I don't know of any tool that, does anybody know of a tool that does that? Because I don't. So so what I'll do is after I've imported and changed my due dates, I just go to the calendar and I drag and drop to make those accommodations. And I'm going to tell you, believe me when I tell you, it is so much easier than what I used to have to do. I cannot stress that enough, because I used to have to change every single due date by hand. So this is a huge time saver for me. All right. Yes, sir.
So, going back to your importance for I was doing
Okay. Sure. Yeah. So the question is, how well do questions, quiz questions, or assessment questions import? So after doing this for 10 years, I can tell you that when I first started doing Blackboard migrations from my own Blackboard environment into Canvas, it was probably 80% accurate. Now that Canvas has done this for thousands of Blackboard universities, guess how accurate that migration tool is? Yeah, exactly. So now what I'm going to tell you though is you need to be on the lookout for questions that are licensed for use only in Blackboard. This has happened to me before where my professor, so that's not going to be your case, right? You've done, okay, good. So just for the rest of you and for those of you listening, if you do your migration into Canvas and you see that there's content that's in Blackboard that's not showing up in Canvas, before you spend hours trying to figure it out, because I've been here, so best practice, check the licensing on that content, because I've had stuff that was licensed for use only in Blackboard, and whenever we tried to migrate it into Canvas, it just would not show up, and we went round and round trying to figure it out, and it was because of the licensing. Okay. The application hasn't self-learned and have changed Canvas. Yes, ma'am. It's the entire structure, one shell. Oh, I'm sorry. So the question is, whenever you import your content into Canvas, does it all go into the content repository, or does it go into a core shell, right? The answer is that it goes into a shell. So if you're teaching, say, 3 separate courses, whenever you migrate in, you'll have 3 core shells in Canvas, and they'll be very similar. Right. One core shell in Canvas. Yes. Yep. Yes, as much of it as it can. So the question is, how much of the structure of the course, the formatting, the framework of the course gets migrated into Canvas? And the answer is as much of that as aligns with the Canvas design paradigm. Right, so Canvas, and y'all can already tell by, well, I mean, we haven't really looked at the content of the course yet, but the paradigm of Canvas is different to the design paradigm of Blackboard. So it would not be truthful for me to tell you that you can just migrate your stuff over and just put students in that course and let them start teaching. There will definitely be some design work that you'll want to do to take the design paradigm. So now, that being said, the structure, framed out your course, all of that stuff does tries to replicate it as, but there are some, sometimes when there just are no metaphors in Canvas that match up with what you're doing in Blackboard. Okay, so the content will be there, it's just you'll have to place it in Canvas where it needs to go. Okay. Yes, sir.
I'd be real cautious about your 100% conversion, because just based on what you just said, and I've transferred my course into 19%.
Okay, and
So it really is dependent upon how people have designed the courses. I think some courses
Yeah.
probably go in very close to your 100% mark.
yes.
But if somebody has done something a little different, if you use learning modules with Whiteboard, those
Sure.
don't go in
Yes, yes.
as if you put Whiteboard.
That's absolutely right.
A lot of work that you have to do to rearrange and put things back in the order that you
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the keys here is going to be the complexity of the course that you have in Blackboard and how that complexity gets sort of accommodated right inside of Canvas. Now, the accuracy that I was talking was actually with the questions, the question migrations. So and that's cool, awesome. So and really, what I would encourage you to do, sir, is come to the workshop and let's test it. Awesome. Okay, yes, ma'am.
I have another question about the accuracy of the question.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include the correct formatting of mathematical formulas?
Yes, yes. Okay. The question was, how accurate is the migration of mathematical formulas? And we actually have an equation builder that processes those equations whenever they come in, and it'll convert them into Canvas's native thing. And because I know that you're interested in accessibility topics, I'm going to point those out along the way, and if I forget to, make sure to all of your equations, all of your formulas that you do in Canvas, with that equation builder, that equation editor that's in Canvas, it does make them screen reader friendly, right? So if you're using any kind of a screen reader with Canvas, it's going to read those, okay? All right, so let's go over to my course homepage. Oh my gosh, our time is running short. Okay, so this is my course layout. And one of the things I want to tell you about the way I'm laying my course out here, I'm using modules as my course layout. The reason for that is because most of the work that I do is with freshmen and first-gen students. Please don't feel like you are married to this. You can actually lay out your course however you like. We have a little button over here that lets you pick how you want your course homepage to look. So you can go in and explore that and make that accommodate whatever you want to do. I'm using modules because it's just really easy for those students, and I love a list, right? So so this lets me have that wonderful linear layout. Now, one of the other issues that Canvas kind of helped me to solve is that whenever we had students enroll in this course, one of the things that they would do is actually skip past all of the course orientation material and go right to the instructional material, right? So we actually required students to sit for proctored exams if they were taking an online course. So I would get those phone calls that say, what do you mean I have to sit for a proctored? Well, one of the things I learned to do in Canvas is to actually build in some selective release, right? So notice that I have this getting started module with course orientation, things like that. I want to show you right now how easy it is for me to edit my module, and look what I can do. I can actually tell Canvas that students have to complete course orientation, how to be successful. Please don't judge me, I have a syllabus scavenger hunt, okay? So, is anybody willing to admit that you also have a syllabus scavenger hunt? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so and basically what happens is students have to make a perfect score on my syllabus scavenger hunt before Canvas will release to them the first. Well, Jace, what does that look like? If I go into the student view, I just click right here on student view, and that will take me now into the student view. And I want you to see this beautiful layout where I have very clear navigation in my course. Here you see my. Notice that I have all of the checks next to the things that my student has completed, a little stop sign next to the thing that hasn't been completed yet, and you'll see here that Canvas has locked my first instruction because my student hasn't completed those requirements yet. So Canvas does a wonderful, wonderful job of making sure that my students kind of stay on task for me, and I just kind of engineer this into my course whenever I have created it. Now, one of the things I want to share with you while I'm in the student view is that this little tab that you see over on the side that says grades, has anybody ever had a student come to you, or maybe you've had and say, what do I need to make on the midterm to, right? I see all the heads nodding, right? So let me show you, please coach your students to say, click on your grades tab, and then look what you can do. Because Canvas has this awesome grade, Canvas will actually display for the student what their score is, and then your student, if you put your grades in Canvas, your student can actually go in and test out those grades. And look, Canvas will show them what it's going to do to their score, right? So your students can do this as well, right? So make sure that you spend some time showing your students. Now, I'm going to bounce out of the student view here and go back into the teacher view. And I want to point out just a few things while we're here. So whenever we're looking at the course navigation, which is the tabs that you see on the side here, These tabs represent tools, not content. And that's one of the first differences that you all will notice between Blackboard and Canvas. Our course navigation can represent content. In Canvas, these represent tools. About this, and I want to just kind of rip the Band-Aid off. Labels that are on these tabs, those labels cannot be changed. And let me share with you the reason for that. One of the things that we found is that whenever students have a consistent experience, it improves their achievements, okay? And this is also very important because I promised my new friend here that I would point out accessibility features. Consistency from course to course is massively important for students who have limited vision or if they're using assistive devices, right? Yes, and I have two accessibility experts in the can testify to that if we need to, but that's why this course navigation is like this. So that way, if a student is once they get used to, hey, I click on the syllabus till and this is what happens, or I click on assignments and this is what happens, they don't have to relearn that whenever they go into another course, right? So that's kind of the way the course is laid out, and of course you can turn on or off whatever tabs you want to use. But this main content area here is where I spend most of my time. Again, I'm using modules as my course layout. I love that I am able to turn on or off all of these different options here. I also love that I am able to add content on the fly. So if I want to create a new discussion topic, instead of going to the discussion tool, which I could do, I can just tap on that little plus sign and create a new discussion, right? And we'll call it welcome and add it just like that. And then once it's there, I can drag and drop to position it anywhere in the module area that I want to use. And all of this, by the way, is compliant. We use Ajax and other tools to encode ARIA, things like that, so that way, if I'm going to use my keyboard, if I'm going to use an assistive device, I can navigate through all of the modules and everything using those tools. Now, you'll notice that my welcome discussion doesn't have the green other things have. It's because it's not published yet. So and you'll notice that not only is the icon green, but you'll notice that that's missing. This is going to be for users who are colorblind, who can't see colors. So that way, if they see the bar, they know it's published. If they don't see the bar, they know it's not, right? Yes, ma'am. Oh, just before 11. Oh, okay, okay. Well, hang on just a second and let me. So when you say just before 11, we're talking like 10. Oh, okay. 45 minutes? Okay. All right. So in that case, I'm going to talk really slow. Okay. So basically what's going on with modules. Now, I want to edit this content. So what I'm going to do is just tap to open up this discussion topic, and that will bring you to the actual content editor itself. And you'll notice that there's no content here, so let's just go ahead and click to edit. And as we go into the discussion topic, here you will have all of your options for adding in text, adding in links, adding in documents, videos, all of that stuff. You can actually record video directly into Canvas. It's so awesome. All of the content that I migrated into my course is all right here at my fingertips. So I can just tap on any of these. If I want to add in content that's already here, I can browse all of my files and I can click to add that content. All of my images are here as well. And we have integrated Canvas with Flickr's Creative Commons. So if you want to add in a video, you can just put in a search string and get hundreds of beautiful images that you can use for free in your course content. And you can upload your images and your files and things like that on the fly. Something that I love about this is that my file editor, my file manager in Canvas, my rights, my usage rights on there, and I can do all in my file manager, which is really nice. Yes, ma'am.
The images.
Yes.
Do the contributors,
Mhm.
do they have to put the alt text before Canvas will allow them to contribute?
Yes. So all of that is included if you're using those images that you're adding into Canvas. And if there's not one there, it's going to stop and prompt you for that. Okay, that was your okay. Okay, so the question is, do the images require alt tags? And the answer is yes, they do. Okay, yes, sir. Sure. So, I'm sorry. Oh, so the question is, how does Canvas handle video? Are you able to do lecture capture and things like that with it? So the first question that I want to ask to you is, are you already using a lecture capture tool like Echo 360 or Panopto or something like that? I'm seeing heads nod yes and heads nod no. Okay. So which one, if I can ask? Camtasia. Okay. So Camtasia. So the first thing I want to share with you is that Camtasia does integrate with Canvas, right? So the reason why I want to say that first is so that you'll be like, okay, I'm not going to have to lose what I already have. Okay. So you can integrate that with Canvas. Beyond that, though, Canvas actually has a media recorder built in. So you can click on your media recorder here, and you can record video into Canvas, or you can upload video into Canvas, and Canvas will guarantee that that video is going to work. So we actually do all of the transcoding for it, right? So that way, if I'm using a mobile device or whatever, I'm going to have the ability to do that. Now, as far as tracking and the captioning and things like that, I can add captions to those videos that I upload. If I have my caption file, I can do that. We also have a tool, and I was given the instructions to not talk about tools that aren't included with the base subscription. But maybe at some point we can talk about it. We do have a wonderful media tool, and our dear friends in Geosciences have just started using it, and they're loving it. That does everything that you just said. Okay, so, and maybe, I don't know, Sharon or if somebody comes to the workshops tomorrow, are we okay to show them that? I suppose, okay. Okay, all right, so, yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. Okay, so media. Absolutely, you got it. So MediaSite does all that, and it integrates with Canvas as well as Kaltura does. So one way or another, all of that's going to be included, right, in the ecosystem, which is awesome. Okay, all right. So so this is how I'm getting all of that content into Canvas. The other thing that I want to share with you is that I can actually integrate with Canvas with other content providers. So my friend Chris Blair, she's teaching math, and she says, I want to add a graph builder to my course. And so we got online and we searched for a graph builder, and look what we did. We actually placed a graph builder in Canvas so that Chris could use this. So this is basically a third-party tool, and I think our internet is slowing down. Is anybody else noticing slow internet right now? Okay, so so you can add these third-party tools into Canvas. Let me go ahead and click over here on the, so you can see a list of these tools. So right now, we have almost 300 third-party tools that you have one-click access to, and you can just click to add these to your course. Let me ask you, if you use Box, how hard is it to add Box to your course? Are you ready? And click and add Box to your course, right? So simple. You can add these third-party tools to your course. So Jace, what kind of tools are you using in your course? Well, I've got the graph. I don't really use it in my history course. I just show you that so you'll know. But I do use these. I have my textbook. So students can click on my little textbook tab here, and all of a sudden they're going to get access to OpenStax, to my textbook, right? I also have a history timeline that I like to use in my course. And what I do whenever I bring in my third-party tools, I actually make sure I vet them for two really important things. Number one, I make sure that they are in the security policy of my institution. And number two, I make sure that they are mobile friendly, that they are not using Flash, right? So if you, do y'all use third-party content in your courses? A lot of you? Yeah, okay. So one of the things that I do here, I used to never pay attention to. I thought all third-party content was created equally until students started using the content on their mobile devices, and they say, oh my gosh, I can't pull up the content. So here, students are able to use this on their mobile devices because it's mobile friendly. Yes, ma'am. No, it would not slow it down. So the question is, if you have a lot of videos in your course, would it slow down? Sure. So the question is, who hosts the video? Does it make a difference in the sort of the quality of the experience, right? And the answer is no, because whenever you're using your videos inside of Canvas versus another tool, unless one of the other tools is having some kind of an issue that's being worked on, you shouldn't notice any problems at all. On the Canvas side, whenever videos are added, either through upload or through recording them into Canvas, we are actually going to transcode that into a flavor that the student can use. So what that means is that the original video will be in our system. We're going to convert that into, I think it's like 8 different other versions that will stream. So if I am in a part of town that doesn't have a very good internet connection, I may get a lower quality streaming video, but I'll still be able to get the content, right? Or if I'm on campus where we have good internet, then I'll get the high quality streaming version, right? And that's gonna work whether I'm on my computer or if I'm on my mobile device. Does that all make sense? That's right, yeah. That's exactly right, yeah. That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the question is, since you can't customize the tabs, can you add additional tabs? And the answer is these two, you see my textbook and my history timeline here? Those are examples of where I have added custom tabs to my course, okay? So if you're using any Connect or the MyLabs products, any of those things, most often they will add their own tabs to the course. Same thing with MediaSite and with, so MediaSite adds a tab here, and then other video tools will add a button in the course in the content editor, right? So it puts the LTI the button it puts that in whichever place is most appropriate for that item. Mm-hmm. So the question is, how much data do you have access to if you just place the video into the course in Canvas? The native, what we call our media comment tool or a media tool in Canvas, it does not emit those kinds of metric profiles. The other option that I mentioned before, it does. But then, of course, MediaSite, Kaltura, all of these other services that, just like ours, that are additional licenses, they do emit those kinds of metric profiles, right? So I would recommend that if that's something that's really important for you to collect and process that data, I would recommend leaning into one of those other tools, so that way it's going to surface that really critical data. Okay? Yes, sir. Yeah, you can actually embed. Oh, the video. The question is, how can you? How easy is it to add your YouTube content to Canvas? So we actually have in Canvas, we actually have a YouTube button that you can add to your toolbar, and so you can just click and you can search an ad, or you can grab the YouTube URL and paste that into Canvas. And guess what Canvas will do? It'll build the player around it. It'll sense that, and it'll actually embed the video for you. And somehow it does that where it removes the ads and those like little, the little pop-up videos that come out. Yeah, it does that, right? So it kind of makes me want to put every video I watch on YouTube in Canvas. Really, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. Yes, ma'am.
Going back to these interfaces you just talked between textbook and
Mm-hmm.
at a university level, we would have a security policy on what we can and what we can't use.
Yes.
The
Sure. Yeah, so the question is, can you enforce security compliance on the third-party tools, on the apps? And absolutely yes. So whenever we were looking at My Apps tab before, I was showing you all 260 things. For you, just like with over at Mizzou, who I've worked with so extensively, they have created a whitelist. So because they have just a very intense security process that they put everybody through. Okay, so basically what you do is you put those apps through that security process, and then once they've passed that, you can add those to your list of, yeah, exactly, your allowed list, exactly. Yes. There is not a limit to the course size. So Canvas comes with unlimited storage, right? And then of course, I guess we could ask one of you about the for videos and stuff like that on Kaltura or MediaSite or whatever. But as far as like your Word documents and all that kind of stuff, it's unlimited storage. Okay. All right. Were there any other questions over here? Did I miss it? Yes, sir. Okay, so the question is, how long can you retain the courses? In Canvas, because you have this cloud-native environment, we actually never destroy any content in Canvas. So what that means is that, I think the best way for me to get this across to you is to let you know what I used to do. So because the traditional way of doing storage in either locally hosted or managed hosted environments, there are limits to how much content you can put into those environments without having to add additional hardware. In a cloud native environment, there are no limits to that because the ecosystem just scales to support whatever it is. And like I said, in the world of limits to how many Word documents and PDFs and PowerPoints and whatever that you want to put into Canvas. Now, so you take all of that into consideration. Whenever you delete something in Canvas does, it puts it into a deleted state. It doesn't destroy it. Can I tell you how many times in the last 10 years I've gone into a professor's office and shown them how to undelete and restore a midterm or a final, right? So anything that gets accidentally deleted in Canvas, you can restore it, okay? And this is even for those, I don't know if this happens here, but a lot of the colleges I work with, sometimes students will be in a course for about a week, and then for financial aid, they'll pull the enrollment out. Well, in Canvas, whenever that enrollment's back, everything gets restored. So to answer your question, everybody that I've worked with simply allow things to persist in Canvas. Now, if you have a document retention policy, and the policy states after 7 years it has to be destroyed, then we have mechanisms that we can give to you that will physically destroy that data. But otherwise, you just let it persist. This is in contrast to, we used to tell faculty to back up everything onto a thumb drive and, just hold on to it, right? Because all these years later, I think about all the things that we did, and I'm just like, okay, was my content really safer on the thumb drive that's on my keychain that like can get, like run over by a car or was it safer on the server? Yeah. So anyway, data can just simply persist. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, how well does Turnitin work?
We have a beautiful integration with Turnitin. The question is, how well does Turnitin integrate with Canvas? So a few years ago, we had a decision to make. Do we want to build a plagiarism detection tool, or do we want to make a really nice way for plagiarism detection tools to integrate with Canvas? And we chose the latter, and so we built this awesome plagiarism detection framework. So tools like Turnitin and Unicheck and other plagiarism detection tools, they integrate seamlessly with Canvas. So if I am, we talked about how to create content, how to sequence content using modules, those kinds of things. Let's talk about assessment for just a second, because whenever I show you my research paper, I can show you how seamlessly this integration is. I just opened up my assignment to edit the settings. You can see here that I have my content that I've put in. One of the things I forgot to mention, whenever you're creating your content, do me a huge favor. Before you save your content, please click on this accessibility checker button right here. And what this will do is check your content to make sure that it's compliant, and it will walk you through if your image is missing an alt tag, or if your headings are out of place, or if your colors don't have the right, it'll help you fix all of that. So please do that before you save your content. Now, the other thing down here, as we look at the assignment settings, you have all of your point values. What kind of grade is this assignment? How do you want for the assignment to be submitted? Your Dropbox style assignments, those are going to be online submissions. Notice here that you can actually restrict the file upload types, right? Sean, I had somebody turn in a WordPerfect file to me the other day. I don't know how this is happening, but you can restrict the file upload type. It was a good program. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Can I tell you, Washington University and St. Louis School of Medicine, I migrated them from Lotus Notes to Canvas. Can you believe it? They built their own LMS in Lotus Notes. So so you can restrict that. So here's what I want you to see, Gia, is that the plagiarism detection, look how seamlessly this is integrated. So if I want to use Turnitin or Unicheck, what do? I just pick from the drop-down list which plagiarism detection tool I want to use, and then it's going to give me my options on how do I want to do the assessment, do I want the students to see the originality report, when do I want for them to see it. So you see how seamless that integration is, right? So that's why I'm telling you, all of those wonderful tools just so beautifully into this ecosystem. You also have your group assignments that you can create on the fly. You can configure peer review, moderated grading. For those of you who are so fortunate to have a grading assistant, this is great because you can enable moderated grading, and this will allow you to approve scores. You can turn on anonymous grading if you'd prefer to do that. Oh, the assignment card. Peter, oh my gosh. If I were to give this research paper assignment and it was due on a Friday, without fail, a student would call me on Monday. My grandmother passed away again. Can I please get an extension? Okay. Back in the old days, I would have to create a whole new assignment for that student, right? Has that ever happened to y'all? Have to create. So listen, this assignment card, please watch this right now. The assignment card, if I need to extend that due date for one student, all I have to do is tap to add another assignment card, and I pick that one student and I give that student their own due date and availability dates. It's just that easy, right? And going back to the question this gentleman asked, if you want to combine multiple sections into one course shell, can you accommodate that? You better believe I can. I do it all the time. I can actually have one set of due dates, are you ready? For my Monday, Wednesday, Friday students, and a different set of due dates for my Tuesday, Thursday students. Do you see how easy that is? Oh my gosh. See, this is we used to have all the work we used to have to do. And yeah, yes ma'am. Okay.
So if I'm understanding what you just said.
Yes.
You have a combined section, a combined course.
Mhm.
Section 1 to 3.
That's right.
Did you have to create groups of sections 1, 2, and 3, or did it automatically understand and create that content?
It automatically understood it. So the way that my banner integration works, okay, and I wanted to stress that because that's going to make the difference here, okay? My banner integration says that if I am teaching a course, History 1301, HST 1301, and let's just say that I'm teaching 3 sections with the same delivery mode, okay, so let's just say fully online, then Banner knows to tell Canvas to put all 3 of those sections into one course shell, okay? Does that make sense? Well, but that's the way we program Banner to do it, right? So our faculty senate said that's what we want, and so that's what we did, right? Now, I have other professors though who they will actually combine their hybrid sections with their online sections. Those are 2 different delivery modes, right? But they'll do that. So Canvas actually provides the facility. If you will give your professors permission to do it, they can combine their own sections into a single course shell, okay? Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, so the question is, can Canvas accommodate those really large survey courses with the subsections? And the answer, it absolutely can. And I actually, this happened in about this. We had a workshop similar to what we're going to do tomorrow here, and I had the professor come in, and she sat there with me, and she had printed out the way that the way her structure is, and so we sat down in Canvas, and I showed her how we replicate that in Canvas. And by the time she left, she stopped and at Jason Crandall's, who's their LMS admin there, and she goes, "This is the easiest thing I've ever seen. When are we going to start using Canvas?" So if you want to explore that together tomorrow, come to one of the sessions and we'll sit down and we'll look at that. Okay. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, what do you call it? Okay. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Yeah. So you use Banner as your syllabus repository for Coboard? Okay. Got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so your IT organization, they have built an integration between Banner and Blackboard. So Banner feeds data. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I had a wonderful breakfast with your IT team several months ago, and if I remember correctly, that data gets fed into a centralized database, a middleware, and then that is what actually populates Blackboard and I believe many other services, right? So that whole configuration is actually operated by your IT group. So and of course they would have a very similar integration that they would establish to work with Canvas as well. Okay. Yeah. So the only part, at least in this conversation, the only part that would be changing would probably be the LMS part, the LMS piece, right? Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I've done right here, you see where it says assigned to and it says HIST 1301.401 Tuesday blended? That's an actual roster of students, okay? And then you see right down here where it says 402 Monday blended? That's a different roster of students. Got it? Yeah. So you can do individual students, little groups of students, or entire rosters of students, right? And what's cool is that whenever you combine them in Canvas, Canvas preserves all of the section, i.e. roster information, so that way I can grade by section, I can assign due dates by section, I can send messages by section, so I don't lose the benefits of those groupings, okay? Is there, yes, sir?
I built four shells currently for the program of 200 plus sections. Some instructors like everything together, some don't. Is that going to be an issue?
So, I'm sure it probably will be. The question is how will faculty respond, or will you be able to deal with things being combined or not being combined? Listen, it's completely up to you guys whether you do it this way or not, right? This is how we chose to do it at my institution. This is how many institutions choose to do it. That does not mean that it's one size fits all, right? So if you have a group of faculty, and there may be in the middleware piece, if I'm not mistaken, isn't there a way to select if you want to combine sections? Yeah, so there a lot of this stuff has actually already been addressed by the middleware component, right? And then of course the middleware component will basically just give directives to Canvas on what to do, right? So yeah, a big part of this, I think the big takeaway that I want for everyone to have is that all of the work that middleware piece has done to make this more convenient for everyone, Canvas is simply adding special value to that. So now you can use those combined sections, you can vary their due dates, you can send them messages, you can do your grading. So it just gives you wonderful new value for that work that they've already done. Okay. All right, shall we move along? Okay, all right, so my assignment is configured. I love all of these questions, this is so great. Okay, I have configured the settings for my assignment. One last thing I want to do before I start receiving submissions is to create a rubric. How many of you use rubrics for assessment right now? So many of you. Perfect. So if I want in Canvas, all I do is tap on the pencil here, and everything is just kind of point and click, or you can use your keyboard. If you want to add additional ratings, you just tap to do that. If you want to add additional criteria, you can just tap to do that. What I want to just call out for, because I know that many of you have very sophisticated assessments that you like to do, so let me just show you a few little details here. The first thing I want you to notice is that you do not have to have the same number of ratings columns for all of your criteria. Okay, that's an important thing for me to call out, because I've seen teachers get painted into a corner, professors will get kind of painted in a corner. They'll say, oh, I have to use 4 ratings columns for the whole thing. In Canvas, you can vary that. I also want you to notice that you can vary point values, you can change all of the language on this and really make this rubric your own. The other thing that I want to share with you is that on your rubrics, you can actually align outcomes, standards, and competencies with your rubric here, all right? So what does that mean? I work with so many institutions who are preparing. I think we're always in a state of preparing for accreditation, right? That's just kind of the world we live in. So before we started using Canvas, we would do very odd things. Like we would embed questions on our assessments, and then we'd keep a tally of how many students got that question. We would do all kinds of weird things to try and collect data for our, we used to build binders. Does that mean anything to anybody, like building binders for accreditation? A few people, okay. So what we do in Canvas now is we actually pre-populate Canvas with all of the outcomes for accreditation. So think about all of those SACS outcomes, those SACS standards, right? So we pre-populate Canvas, and then we coach our faculty to say, listen, whenever it's appropriate, would you please just align those accreditation standards with your exercises in Canvas, so that way, as you're doing your grading, we can collect the data. And so now, when it's time to do those reports, and congratulations, you're now the Vice President of Academic Research. And so now, whenever it's time to do accreditation reporting, you can actually go into Canvas and just run a report and get all of that data out, right? So this allows you to do that. So create those rubrics, get everything set up the way that you'd like. Once that's done, students can start to submit their assignments. And to do your grading, I will encourage you to please use the often imitated, never duplicated, original, world famous Canvas Speed Grader. So with the Canvas Speed Grader, what this is going to do is it will take all of those submissions that our students give to us, and it will render them right here in the web browser for us. Somebody told me that Blackboard just released something like this like a few months ago. Has anybody seen this yet in Blackboard? Oh, they use Box. Oh, they use, okay. Okay, so in Canvas, you have this wonderful annotations tool. So my student has submitted my assignment to me. You can go in and you can do all of your annotation, provide your inline feedback. I just got an iPad Pro with a little stylus, so I can go in now and I can write on things. By the way, the Speed Grader is included with the teacher app that I was telling you about earlier, so I can do my grading on my iPad. I love it. So here I have all of my artifact with all of my feedback. Over here, I have my rubric. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so that we can all see it together. So here I have my rubric. Let me make this bigger so we can see it. So here I have my rubric, right? And to complete this, what do? I just tap on my rubric, so easy, to complete the assessment. And after I do that, check this out. Can I tell you, so long ago, whenever I would do my grading, if I wanted to have a conversation with a student about the submission, guess what I would have to do? I would have to stop my grading workflow. I would have to go open my email and start a messaging workflow, right? Honestly, that was not conducive. Like I did not want to do. So one of the things I want to tell you about Canvas is that the conversation about the assignment stays here on the assignment. So you can have this conversation with your student. So so this is a wonderful way to enhance that grading workflow, and you can get so much grading done in a shorter amount of time by using that Speed Grader there. Now, because of the sake of time, raise your hand if you want to see the grade book, the grade center. Okay, that's everybody. Okay, so I'm going to take a little change of course here, and we're going to hop into the grade center. Okay, so, oops, you know what? Before we go to the grade center, I actually want to back up a step and to kind of tell you how I get to this point. All right, so quick question. If I'm your student and I have the syllabus, your grading policy is going to be on the syllabus, right? Yes, okay. I have my scores and I have your syllabus, I should be able to calculate my grade at any point in time, right? Fair? Okay. All right, so in Canvas, all I do the first time I set up my course is I sit down and program my syllabus into Canvas. This is so easy. On my syllabus, it says I have 3 different kinds of grades: participation grades, research paper grades, major exam grades. They are weighted. You can see how I set that up. And I drop the lowest participation grade, but I never drop pop quiz number 1. And I have programmed that in here as well. So I've got all of this set up. So far, so good, right? Very simple. Okay. So once that's done, I'm going to start collecting grades through the speed grader, through mechanically graded assessments, through my quizzes, through discussions, all of these different ways. Even my third-party tools, my math lab, all those, they're going to start passing grades back into the grade book. And I'm going to start seeing my grade book be populated with all of the different scores. Now, sometimes I may need to populate scores in my grade book myself. And if I'm going to do that, let me show you. This is so easy. All I do is just tap on a cell and I can key in the score. Now, can I just show you that, okay, I'm going to point out some very small, tiny little differences. They make a huge difference in my daily workflow, okay? So the first thing I want to point out to you, do you see that blue crosshair that shows you what column and row you're on? I can't even tell you how much time this saves me. So all the way across the grid, I can see what column and row I'm on. As I'm keying in my scores, Canvas is actually saving my work as I go. So I can navigate around the gradebook with my keyboard or with my mouse or whatever, and I'm never going to lose my work. And Canvas is creating a grading history of all of this stuff for me as well. So that way, if I have a grading assistant or someone, I can actually go back and see who changed the grade and what did they do and when did they do it. So I'm able to do all of that. The other thing that's really neat is that whenever I click on this icon, it pops open a tray, and look what I can do. With one click, I can get to the student, to the assignment, to the speed grader, to the grade status. I even have the conversation that I was having in the speed grader. I can pick it back up right here in the gradebook. When was the last time you used your gradebook to have a conversation with your students, right? So you can do all of this from right here. The other thing that's really nice is that your columns come with a drop-down menu. And from the drop-down menu, you can do really cool things like send messages to students who haven't submitted their assignments yet, or maybe their assignments haven't been graded, so you can send a blind carbon copy from them. And I know this is such a small detail. How many of you have ever wanted to customize the columns in your gradebook? Like you want to drag and drop them, move them around, that kind of thing. What I love about the gradebook, this is such a small detail, but I love that I can easily drag and drop to rearrange my columns. Do you see? And if I'm 8 weeks into a 16-week term, guess what I can do? I can collapse down my columns to get them out of my way and keep my gradebook nice and tidy. Do you see? So I'm able to do all of that. Now, the last thing I want to share with you about this gradebook is the way that I use it day to day. I don't go in here wanting to see every single column, right? Sometimes I want to go in and I just want to see my participation grades or my research paper grades. Let me draw your attention to the filtering that's right up here at the top. So notice how I can filter, do you see? I can filter with one click by what kind of grade the assignment is, by what unit the assignment is part of. I can even filter down my students by section. Remember, you were asking me just a second ago, how do I use that section information? Look, I can grade just my Tuesday or just my Monday, right? I can do all of that here. And then for you, sir, with your hundreds or even thousands, how many did you say were in your survey course? 3,000 students. So here's what I want you to do. If you need to find that one student, that needle in the haystack of 3,000 students in your grade book, all you do is type in their name or their student ID or whatever you know, and look what it does. It filters you down right to that one student, right? Now, somebody asked me, I think Kathy had asked me, does Canvas support large courses? We had that conversation, didn't we? Let me tell you something. The largest Canvas course ever was around 200,000 students. Imagine. Guess what it was? We did a huge course with AMC. Y'all remember the show The Walking Dead? And UC Irvine, we got together, we did a huge course, and we had almost 200,000 students in that course. So Canvas absolutely supports large courses. All right, so I'm going to, there's so things I can share with you. We could talk about analytics, but do y'all want to just look at analytics just really quickly? Anybody? Okay, yes ma'am.
Quick grade book question before we move on to
Sure.
analytics. In the grade book, how many rows can you do at a time? In our present grade book,
Mhm.
we can only, as it comes up, we can only view 10 rows at a time.
Okay.
And I know you can change it at the bottom, but it doesn't hold.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't move when I go out and I come back to the row.
Oh, okay.
How many can you view?
So yeah, so Canvas actually doesn't do that. So in Canvas, so the reason that, and I think the reason why you're having that is so that it doesn't load all of the data at one time. Is that right? In other words, so if you have 3,000 students in the gradebook, it doesn't load 3,000 rows onto the page at a time. Is that okay? So in Canvas, we don't have a thing where you have to click to load more rows. Let me see. I don't know if my course will actually replicate what I want to tell you, but what I'm going to say is that no, it's not, because I don't have that many students. What I'm going to tell you is that if you have 3,000 students in here, what Canvas is going to do is it's going to load the first 30 students, or the first 30 rows, and as you scroll down or as you filter, automatically load, so that way, so you never notice. Does that make sense? Like as you're scrolling, you don't ever notice it loading additional rows. It's kind.
I don't have to go tell it to load that.
Yeah, just as you're moving around the screen, it will automatically load additional data. It doesn't load all 3,000 rows as soon as you open the page. Otherwise, it would do what? It would crash the page. So this way, what you need, those subsets of data. Okay. Yes, sir. You bet. Yeah. So you have a drop-down menu on your in your gradebook drop-downs up here. So what you can do, if you like to do sophisticated calculations and stuff, you can actually click and download that as a spreadsheet, open it up, say in Excel, and do your formulas, and then you can turn around and re-upload that into Canvas, and it'll update the columns for you. Yes, ma'am. Say that one more time. Mm-hmm. So anything that you do here, it will save your work. And if you're not ready to, like, if you know what you may want to give the grade, like you have an idea of what you want to do, but you want to go back and look at it later, I'm going to show you what I do. I actually will go in and I will click on my drop-down menu right here, and I will click to mute the assignment. Okay? Because what that does is muting the assignment will basically freeze whatever the student sees, right? So any feedback that I post, any grades that I put in, everything like that, that's going to be held until I unmute that. So it gives me plenty of time. Does that make sense? So I can go in and do whatever I want to, post grades, go back and change grades, and then once I have everything looking the way I want, I'll click to unmute, and that'll release everything all at one time. Okay? And what I like about this, a good friend of mine, she says, really that should say mute student. And I laughed. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, because it puts a little icon on their grade sheet on the assignment. This assignment is still being graded. I love that. Okay. Mm-hmm. You absolutely can. Yes. Yeah. I only show you, the question is, can you configure different kinds of grading schemes, right? And yeah, absolutely. I use the weighted grades because that's just what and so many people do. But if you have a thing where your course is worth 2,500 points and you're just kind of building up to that, that's perfect. I see that all the time. Perfectly fine. You absolutely can. So on the assignment page that we were looking at, I'm sorry, the question is, thank you. The assignment, the question is, can you configure an assignment instead of as a Dropbox type assignment as a column that you have in the gradebook where you can key in like a paper submission or something like that? And yes, absolutely. So whenever you create a new assignment in Canvas, guess what? That is the default assignment type. So Canvas assumes from the beginning that you're just going to want a column in the gradebook to hold the scores, right? And if you will switch that drop-down menu from a manually or a on paper type of assignment to an online submission, that's when you get that additional Dropbox functionality. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. So the question is, how does Canvas handle extra credit? It's very, very simple. If you have an extra, now let me just ask, do you do extra credit questions or do you do extra credit assignments, or how? Okay, so whenever you have an extra credit assignment, all you do, I know this is gonna sound so simple, all you do is you leave the total points possible as 0. Because in Canvas, you can earn over the number of points, right? You can also earn negative points. I know that's not your question, but let's just say that I have an assignment that's worth 10 points. I can actually give my student a -5, right? So for extra credit assignment, decide, do you want it to affect, like in my case, do I want to, you can earn 100 points of extra participation credit, right? So I'll create an assignment called extra credit. I'll put it in participation, and then however many points they earn, I'll just add that to them, and that just adds to their overall grade. Yep. Yes, that's right. Yeah. So here's our last stop, right at time. So please be patient. But I have to show you. I have to show you some analytics stuff really quickly. I have for you an analytics dashboard that I want to share. And let me make this big so we can all see. Perfect. Okay, so Canvas comes with wonderful analytics in every single course. So this is where I go every Monday to see up here at the top how active my students have been. I can see the completion of work. Are they turning assignments in on time, later, not at all? I can see grade distribution, but here's my favorite thing right down here. I have a list of all of my students. I don't know if anything has changed, but back in the old days, I used to have a report to get this data. In Canvas, I just click and here it is, okay? So here I have, for every student, page views, participation, submission, how many were on time, late, missing, and their current score. All of these columns, and if I find a student that's at risk, guess what I do? I just tap on that student's name and I get their dashboard. So here I can see page views and participation for that student, the communication stream. Oh, it comes full circle. Remember I told you that Dr. Cook, my provost, she said to our faculty, pretend like Canvas is the system of record for communication. Now I'm going to tell you why. It's because Canvas will archive every interaction between the student and the faculty, all right? And Dr. Cook, multiple times throughout the semester, would have students come into her office and they would say, I'm failing Jace's history course because he's not communicating with me, right? And so Dr. Cook, what she used to have to do is open up an email and send an email to academic technology and distance learning and all of the others, and to the teacher and to the professor, and say, gather up all of the communication, okay, and deliver that to me. Do you know what she does now? She pulls up this dashboard and she turns her screen around to face the student and she says, can I show you something? Every blue bubble is a message from your professor to you. Every orange bubble is a message from you to your professor. So based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like your professor was communicating with you, right? So maybe there's another reason. Does that make sense? So this is why, because she knew the challenges that we faced, right? So with this, she had one-click access to that information. Of course, you're gonna see your submissions, what was submitted on time, later, not at all, your grade distribution down here. And then for those who are using program assessment, those kinds of things, all of this data can be rolled up and aggregated at the program or the department or the school or college level. So you have access to all of that data here as well, okay? All right, there's show you, but I'm going to stop right here because I want to be respectful of your time. Okay, and we have one hand that went up. May I please answer this? Okay, yes, ma'am. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes. So I'm so happy that you asked. The question is there anything that Canvas can do to assist with student retention or with, students who may be struggling? So the first thing I want to tell you up front is that student retention is outside of our bailiwick, but there is a wonderful tool that it's my favorite tool in Canvas that it's called Dropout Detective. And it integrates seamlessly with Canvas. It's a third-party tool. But what it does is for years and years and years, we use tools like Starfish and things, expecting students to self-identify when they needed help. And now I'm looking back at that, I'm thinking, man, we could not have been more off the mark, right? So what Dropout Detective does is it lets me as a professor identify students that are starting to be at risk, and I can click what's called an advisor notification, raise an advisor flag. And guess what it does? It emails their academic advisor, their football coach, everybody who's associated that has line of sight to that student as an advisor. It gets everybody involved, so that way we know what's going on. And what's really cool is it has this beautiful dashboard, so that if I am the academic advisor and that's my whole job, I can actually see all of my students who are at risk, and I can begin to do intervention with them. So I would really encourage you to explore that tool. I have shared that with so many colleges and universities, and it's awesome, awesome, awesome. It's called Dropout Detective. Yeah. So basically, they have an algorithm that Kim Munso and her team have developed. So Kim was actually a professor, and she became a Canvas user, and she noticed the same issue that you and I have been talking about right now. And her husband, Chris, was very knowledgeable about technology and about how they could. And so they said, listen, let's see if we can get some engineers together and see if we can use technology to help solve this problem. And so they did, and guess what? They have gone on to win like the #1 company in Tampa, because they're they're sort of a new company. And I'm telling you, it's an awesome tool. If you want to come to the workshop, I actually have it. I'll be happy to show it to you.
Jason, can you just talk a little about message students who were in the grade book, though they didn't want to use Dropout Detective as a single?
Yeah, you make a good point, Peter. So remember I showed you the message students who feature in the grade book? If you want to switch that filter to say message students who haven't scored a certain score, like maybe they did really poorly on the midterm, you could use that as a blind carbon copy, right? But if you wanted to get your academic advisors and the rest of the team, that other tool is what I would go for. Okay. I don't know what to do.
So,
Thank you.
but I want to say thanks. That was really excellent.
Thank you.
These guys from Canvas are going to be on campus for today and tomorrow, right? And so I wanted to bring Wendy up to give you an idea of the workshops that are going to be happening on campus. Additionally, we have some amazing flyers that it's evident to me that some of you have not received these flyers in your mailbox. So on the flyer it has the website address and the dates and the workshops and everything and how you can register all these things. So Wendy.
I promise, Katrina, it would only take a couple of minutes. Instructional Technology Services, I'm sure that you guys help you with eCampus, and so we would also be the ones that are going to help you with the new learning management system as well. And so one of the things that we wanted to make sure happened is that we had some workshops come in, and so that's why they're here tomorrow as well. All of those are 004, so that's kind of where we're from. Oh, it's there. It is there. Fantastic. The other thing that's there that you can't click on, but we really do want to encourage you to do, is to register for these. I will say that we currently are at capacity for the 9 to 10 o'clock. I will also say that we've got a few extra laptops, and if you want to bring your own laptop, then you could also squeeze in. We could probably squeeze in another 5 to 7 people. So please go in and register. If you do get put onto the wait list, I'd be glad to add you to the course with space permitting. But we do have plenty of space for the just kind of come and goes from 10 to 12 as well as 2 to 3:30. So please feel free to register for those. And again, I'll squeeze you in as best as I can. But these are going to be the workshops are going to be just an hour of them kind of going through the learning management system and telling us how things work. And then the other longer sessions are going to be those good meaty times to get in and ask the questions.
If you had to pick, thank you. You have to pick between the workshop session or the lab session, I would pick the lab session, because this way we can sit down together and together go through in fact, we were actually talking about that this morning. There have been so many times when I've had professors and they would be so frustrated. They're like, I can't believe that they're making me do this evaluation, and I've been doing the same things the same way forever. And we'll explore what they're doing, and they'll walk away saying, this is the best thing I've ever seen. So it just takes that attention and that coaching, which we are so happy to be able to do. So yeah, so if you have to pick between the two, definitely the lab session.
That ITS is happy to help as well, but we're learning too. So we'll do what we can to help, but I'm sure that, they're the experts, that's why they're here tomorrow. But this will also happen as well with the other learning management systems that we have. So kind of start the process now and understand it and follow through for the rest of the semester. Thanks, Katrina.
No problem. Well, slides up here that Sharon had put together for me, so I just want to make sure. Okay, so just one more reminder that there are evaluation sites for you. You can go to this website, log in, use the product yourself. I actually did it and I was pretty impressed. And then we will have the community feedback forums where hopefully you'll come to all three, or at least look at and come and give some feedback on that. And this is the additional information that's all on that sheet that Sharon's and so this is the mantra, right? Get involved, stay informed, and be heard. We have 5 minutes. We've got the sheets for you to go. You're welcome to go, and I'm sure you guys are just going to stand up here and answer questions at the front. If you have any burning questions you want to ask one-on-one. If not, I'll see you at webinars or whatever. Thanks for coming today. This is a great kickoff event for this thing. Excellent. Thank you.